Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending our virtual Tuxes and Tales. I'm Karen Koenig, Vice President of Animal Welfare for the Kentucky Humane Society, and this is my dog, Abby. Needless to say, 2020 has been a challenging year. We've all been forced to change our routines, to make sacrifices, and get used to our new normal. These have been challenging times, but through it all, the work of the Kentucky Humane Society never stopped. Dogs, cats, and horses needed to be saved. They needed medical care, they needed food, they needed love. A pandemic does not stop abuse, neglect, or suffering, and that is why it is so important that KHS be there, that we have the funds to provide the care that so many animals desperately need. And that is what tonight is all about, raising funds to ease their pain, to make them whole, to save them. At KHS, we have a special fund called Tender Loving Care, or TLC. TLC funds are set aside to provide medical and behavioral support for our most at-risk animals. Without these funds, we simply could not afford the extensive rehabilitation for our most fragile dogs, cats, and horses. TLC was absolutely vital in saving the lives of the animals you are about to meet. In June, a woman knocked on our admissions door, a small bundle in her arms. She had found a stray puppy in a ditch. The staff took the blanket and gently unwrapped the contents. They were shocked at what they saw. A skeletal chihuahua, barely breathing, on the brink of death. Her body temperature was 10 degrees lower than normal, and her body scale was 1 out of 9, the lowest possible before death by starvation. She barely weighed a pound. Our veterinarian team immediately began the slow and gut-wrenching process of trying to save her life. Warming her with heating blankets and inserting an IV to provide fluids, trying to avoid organ shutdown, and holding her so that if she died, she would know she was not alone. Over the next couple hours, this tiny dog started to open her eyes, and then, a few hours later, she licked food from the staff's hand. But she was not even close to being out of the woods. The vet team took turns taking her home at night, feeding her every few hours and monitoring her condition. At this point, they were just calling her Little Chi, superstitious that if they named her, she would die. Well, I'm happy to tell you, almost 2 weeks later, that little girl got her name, Twiggy. We will never know how Twiggy got in the severe condition she did. Was it intentional neglect? Or was she simply lost for a long period with no food? Part of what we do is accept that it does not matter. To know that we saved this tiny soul, and that today Twiggy is living in a home with 4 other Chi siblings. She has plenty to eat and a family that adores her. Even during the challenges of a pandemic, we are asked to rescue animals in crisis. In May, a rural animal control officer called about 2 horses surrendered by their owner. Over 10 years ago, the owner had a riding accident that left her severely injured, so her mother took over the care of the horses. By taking care, that meant providing hay and water in their 12 by 12 stalls, and that was all. You see, it turned out the mother was afraid of the horses, so for 10 long years, those 2 horses did not leave their dark and dirty stalls. They lived side by side, separated by filthy, manure-covered wood. One small window looking out on the green pastures that they were denied access to. These horses entered this prison when they were just 1 year old. They were not provided farrier service, so their hooves grew for all those years, curling it up, making it painful for them to stand or walk what little they could in those stalls. Because they were fed cheap hay and had no access to sunlight, their coats were rough, matted in manure and mud. Once the 2 arrived at the Kentucky Humane Society's Willow Hope Farm, the staff began their long rehabilitation. These quarter horses did not understand life outside the confines of their 10-year imprisonment. Neither of them knew how to act around other horses, people, in pastures, or even with each other. Our equine team patiently introduced them to new experiences, grass and warm sunshine, the ability to run and have interaction with other beings, both equine and human. The process was slow. We took time to gain their trust and allowed them to adjust to all the things they had been deprived of for so long. The farrier trimmed those long hooves, and with proper food, medical care, and sunshine, their coats are now shiny and smooth, revealing 2 magnificent horses. Today, Strawberry and Rocky are still in our care at Willow Hope Farm, running in green, sunlit pastures, making new horse and human friends, and finally enjoying the life they deserve after a decade of imprisonment. Still, in the middle of a pandemic, another animal needed saving. This time a young kitten found by a Good Samaritan. The tiny kitten was wandering in a neighborhood at night, crying in pain and confusion. Horrifically, a large fish hook pierced through the soft palate of her mouth and up into her eye. The Good Samaritan rushed her to a local emergency veterinarian clinic, which removed the sharp hook. The next day, Ariel, as we named her, came to KHS. Our veterinarian hoped that after the hook was removed, Ariel's eye could heal, but that was not the case. The cruel hook had damaged Ariel's eye beyond repair. It had to be removed. As our vet tech held Ariel before her surgery, she purred, knowing that she was in loving arms. After surgery, Ariel went into foster with Yuko, a KHS volunteer who specializes in rehabilitating injured cats. Each day, Ariel is healing, gaining strength, making new line friends, and according to Yuko, just being a goofy kitten and making the family laugh. And isn't that exactly what a young kitten should be doing? No one knows how an injury like this happened. We hope that it wasn't intentional. All we can do is pick up the pieces of every hurt, abused, and neglected animal that comes to us, provide them medical care, show them that people can be kind and loving, then give them a second chance at a happy life. By donating tonight to TLC, you help us heal them. You become part of their journey. We can't do it without your support. They are all counting on us, and we can't let them down.